topic, defining your goals. So if you participated in the 2024 goal workshops, whether you were there live or you did the replay, you heard me talk about this. And that is like, it is going to sound a little bit repetitive because this process for defining goals is something that I have honed in on for the last couple of years and feel really passionately about. I think that we are very good at coming up with, sometimes, if this is something you struggle with, that totally happens. Most of us are good at coming up with goals that we want to accomplish. We usually have more ideas than we know what to do with. Maybe prioritizing needs to be a topic. But even more so than that, we come up with a general concept of a goal, and that's what we call it. I want to lose weight. I want to read more. I want to declutter my house. I want a cleaning routine, et cetera, et cetera. That's a great starting point. But those goals can mean so many different things to so many different people, depending on a lot of different stuff. That was super vague, but that's the whole point, is those goals are actually very vague. And what it means to you in your life is going to be very specific. And so I have come up with 5 questions, categories, things to think about when you are getting really clear on what those goals mean to you right now, given your life right now. And so again, if you went through the workshops, you've heard me talk about this. I encourage you to still listen to what I'm going to say, because knowing me, things are going to come out that I didn't say before, especially because we're here live. And you can also always ask questions or ask me to clarify things. And you may think of something slightly different. Now, I'm not telling you to listen to this video and go like completely change your 2024 goals. If your 2024 goals are set, this video is going to be more of a reference for you going forward, or maybe you just think about things a little bit differently. So like I mentioned, defining your goal is I should have popped this up while I was talking there, is getting very clear on what it means to you. And the why behind this is that it's actually going to help you determine action steps that are going to impact, what did I say actually? No, I only have actually in there once. What you want to see happen. What is important to you. When you figure out the answers to these questions and get really clear on what this goal means to you, you're going to be able to pick action steps that will actually get you to where you want to be. Otherwise, you're going to pick action steps that might get someone to some form of that goal, but it might not be what you actually want. So number one is, what does the outcome of this goal look like? And I asked Sam this question the other day. Sam is my husband, about something, and he was like, what? He didn't understand that question. So let me get a little bit more detailed, because if you're just like using the Goals with Laken planner and you saw this question and you were like, I don't know how to answer it. What I mean by this is, when this goal is no longer on your list, when you've checked it off or removed it, or it is at the point that you feel good about it, you wouldn't want to change anything. Now, that doesn't mean you can't change your mind at some point. Remember, like I said, we're talking about right now. But that goal is in a state that you feel good about it. Do you feel like that is the ideal state? Knowing what you know right now, what does that end state look like? What is the final status of the goal? So if it's a workout routine that you're trying to build up to, what does that look like when you are doing it on a regular basis? How many, how long, what types of workouts? If you are looking to come up with a cleaning routine, what does that end state look like? Now, I don't mean like, what are the actual steps that you're going to do no, that's breakdown. We're not there. We're just in the vision and planning portion of it. What would that look like? Would your house feel clean, clean-ish? What percentage clean would your house feel? Would you not clean on the weekends so you can chill? Or would you not clean during the weekdays so you can focus on work? Like, what would that routine look like and feel like for you? Next question category is impact. So how does this goal impact my day-to-day life? Or how do I want it to impact my day-to-day life? Now, if you are thinking about this in a goal that doesn't impact your day-to-day life, that's fine. It doesn't mean it's a bad goal, but it is something to think about. And again, going back to the cleaning example, right? Maybe it's that you don't want it to impact your day-to-day because you don't want to clean every single day. You want to not have to think about cleaning. Well, that is going to directly correlate with the action steps you're going to pick for that specific goal. So how does this goal impact, or how do you want it to impact your life on a day-to-day basis? Number 2 in this section is how does this goal impact my life in 5 to 10 years? Or how do I want it to impact my life in 5 to 10 years, right? Maybe getting that workout routine in and getting it figured out is going to impact your life in 5 to 10 years because you're going to have to go to way less doctor's appointments because you are in a much better physical place. Or maybe you are going to crawl around on the floor with your grandchildren. That's just my mom. But thinking about how it impacts your life. That example that I just gave would directly correlate to the actual types of workouts that somebody would want to schedule if their goal is to crawl around on the floor with their grandchildren, getting up and down off the floor, getting up and down while holding a baby, thinking about what weights you want to use, thinking about using weights, period, instead of just walking, right? The impact that goal has on your life can directly correlate with the action steps. By the way, I want to let you know, you are welcome to add comments and ask questions while I'm talking. That is the beauty of this being live. So if you have something to say or a comment or a question related to what I'm talking about, I'll flip back and forth. So please feel free to still do that. And I will continue. If you have a question about something totally different, save that till the end when we get to the Q&A part of the live. But if you have a question or a comment on the topic we're talking about, feel free to put it in the comments. Okay. Number 3. Feelings. We're going to talk about feelings. So step 1 is, how do I want to feel when I'm done with this goal? And I really want you to get more specific than I want to feel accomplished. Okay, great. We all want to feel accomplished. That's awesome. How do you actually want to feel? How do you want to feel specifically related to this goal? Sometimes in this feeling category, it's easier to come up with the negative. I don't want to feel X. That's fine. You can start there and then try and find the positive. Try and flip it around. Word Hippo is a great website to use for something like this because it's going to give you ideas of other words you can use. Let's say you think, I want to feel happy. Okay. What is that? Happy is a fine word, but can we come up with a better word that really describes how you want to feel? Go to Word Hippo, type in the word happy, and see what the other options are. More importantly, though, is question number 2 in this section, which is, how do I want to feel while I am working on this goal? I hate to break it to you, but goals take a long time to achieve. They just do. And most goals are going to take longer than you want them to. Also unfortunate. Not unfortunate, just reality. So what I want you to think about is how you want to feel while you are working on this goal. And once again, looking for a positive, because if you don't probably want to, but if you feel negative while you're working on a goal, you're probably going to quit. You're probably going to give up. If you are feeling negative, there are a lot of goals that if we went all the way to the extreme, theoretically, we could achieve it way faster. But if we go all the way to the extreme, how do we think we're going to feel while we're working on that goal? Probably not going to be great. And then we're going to give up before we get there. So I want you to really think about, how do you want to feel while you are working on your goal? And then the ever most important question, why is this goal important to you? And I want you to, if you can, dig a little deeper, quoting Princess and the Frog. I want you to dig a little deeper and really figure out why that goal is important to you. Not your mom, not your spouse, not your child, not your neighbor, not your best friend, you. Why is that goal important to you? And I always tell the example, which is oh so much more fun to apply because this will be my life someday, is I want you to imagine you're with a cute little toddler and they ask you a question, a little inquisitive toddler, and you give them an answer and they go, but why? And you're like, okay, let me figure that out. And you kind of give them another answer. You kind of give them a why and they go, okay, but why? And they ask you like 700 times until they get distracted and go play with something else. I want you to be that inquisitive toddler. I want you to ask yourself, but why? But why is that important to me? Okay, but why is that important to me? I want you to keep asking yourself until you get to a reason that you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I get it. Now, I also want you to remember there is no bad why. I was listening to actually, it may have been his new book. So I've talked about John Acuff before. I really like his book Soundtracks. He has a new book called All It Takes Is a Goal, which I do think is good. It's a lot. There's a lot going on in that book. So I'm not quite ready to recommend it as intensely as I will recommend Soundtracks. So I think this was in his book, but I also listened to his podcast. And so I feel like it all kind of blends together at some point. He talked about how you, for goals, need to start with a superficial why. And I think that can be really helpful. That can be a really great place to start. And if that is your why, that's great. If that is your only why, and you don't want to find something a little bit deeper, great. That's awesome. There is no bad why. There doesn't have to be you don't have to want to lose weight so you can be here for your grandkids. You don't have to. You don't have to want to declutter your house so that your mother-in-law doesn't judge you when she comes over. You don't have to want any of those things. There is no, even if it feels like, well, that's why I should want to work on this goal. Okay. You could pick a different why. It doesn't have to be the why that you feel like you have to pick. All that matters is that it's important to you. And then the last question related to this defining and getting clear on our goals is asking yourself, what does success look like for this goal over the next time frame? Whether that's this year, this quarter, or even just this month, even just what does success look like for this goal? Like I said before, most goals take a lot longer than we want to admit to achieve. And so while you think about the outcome, right, checking this off, it being done, maybe those two things line up. Maybe they don't. And a lot of times they probably won't. So get clear on what does success look like for this time period that you're focusing on this goal. And that's going to direct your action steps for this time period. And then you're going to reassess. We're going to redo this assessment on a regular basis so that you can make adjustments as needed. So those are the questions or the things that I encourage you to really think about getting clear on your goals and defining them before you actually start taking action, because that is going to be able to let you pick action steps that will put you in the direction that you actually want to go.